G'day guys, today for you we have a deep dive on one of our favourite ranges of Australian wine. Wade, what are we looking at?
We're having a look at, we're doing a deep dive on Dr. Dredge. Dr. Edge.
A Dr. Edge deep dive.
With Dredgy.
With Dredgy.
Too many Ds, it's Friday.
Too many Ds. Well, happy days for DD on a Friday Arvo. And one of our favourite wine lineups coming at you from all corners of Tasmania and all corners of the universe, Dr. Edge, Peter Dredge. What a maniac the man is and what a talented winemaker.
Yeah, probably our favourite lunatic in Tasmania. Matt is a cut snake and he makes some incredible booze. So we just got the brand new 23 Pet Nat and 22 Riesling. So his spring release, which is just rocked up yesterday. So we're going to rip the top off him and have a look at his Pinot and Chardonnay and Pinot Meunier as well.
So Wade, a little bit of background on Dredgy.
Yes, so Australia's oldest young winemaker, I think. He started his days, was going to be an AFL star.
So he likes to think.
Yes, so that was the plan, become an AFL star. But he had like a really gnarly accident. He got hit in the head, like on the track.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Explains a bit. Sorry, Dredgy.
Yeah, got hit in the head, decided, spent some time in hospital from what I understand. And then, started getting into the wine industry. So spent many years at Petaluma, with Brian Crozer.
Yep.
Then,
quite a bit of time in the Hunter Valley, even I think up at Brokenwood before that.
Possibly, yeah. And then moved down to Bay of Fires in Tassie to make cool climate wine down there. In 2015, he got in touch with the crew at Meadowbank to try and buy a little bit of fruit so he could start his own label. At the same time, they were like, do you want to make our wines? And sort of Meadowbank was coming back online, which is one of Tasmania's most historic producers, of sort of 35-year-old plantings, which is ancient in Tassieland. He came on board as winemaker, started leasing a little plot there with some Riesling, Pinot and Chardonnay, and Dr. Edge was born.
And Dr. Edge was born. And so we've been working with Pete pretty much since the beginning of his label, 7 or 8 years ago now. And it's really interesting because on the one hand, he's quite a classically trained, very experienced winemaker, great CV. And then he's also just a madman and doing all these innovative experimental styles too. He went off a couple of years in a row off to Oregon in the USA to make Pinots, single vineyard Pinots from Oregon. He makes the brine wines with his rat bag mates and some really interesting natural sort of skinsy styles. And he's added all sorts of interesting wines to Dr. Edge, including this. So this is Dr. Ongo.
The Drongo.
The Drongo, right? It's a Pet Nat. It's a blend of Pinot Noir and Pinot Meunier, I believe. Then what he does, he actually adds a little bit of still fermenting Riesling to this to give it a bit of pop and lift. And it's always one of the better Pet Nats around.
So it's not exactly like a classic Pet Nat. So he kind of makes like a base table wine and then reintroduces unfermented Riesling. So that's what gives you the carbonation, a little bit of fizz. How good is that?
Unreal.
How delicious is it?
It's
like
champagne rosé. That isn't it?
It's like kind of candied, very flossy, sort of really, really clean too, which is what you get when you're not sort of making a full-blown Pet Nat style. He's got a clean wine that he's starting with, and then reintroducing just a little bit of funk.
Yeah.
So, I dig this, man.
It's really great, because this is a style of wine that we've obviously seen gain a lot of popularity over the decade, really, and possibly now in some ways it's dropping off a little bit, like maybe the trend is just a bit plateaued, but then you've got this wine and a few others, likes of Ravensworth, La Violetta, there's a couple others that come to mind that are making really serious sparkling wines in this Pet Nat style. And this is one of them. It looks like fun, like Dredgy, but underneath, very serious. Yeah,
man, it's pretty legit booze. Like, I really dig it. So it's fresh, it's bright. It does what it says on the tin. It's ready, for any drongo to just rip the top off and get stuck into it. And I really dig it.
I'll tell you what's going to be fun over spring and summer. We've got magnums of this.
Yes.
Check them out back here.
Yes.
Dangerous.
That's this has been one of my Christmas Day wines for the last few years.
Oh, yeah. I'd much rather this than a sparkling Shiraz. Aussie tradition, the sparkling Shiraz. This is a bit lighter and fresher. Still has a trick.
Mm.
All right, 1 from 1. Yum. This is our first look at these 2 new wines, and then the other 3 we've had for a little while, but have some restocks, which is exciting as well. Have a little rinse, mate.
Yep, thank you. So
this is what we do in the wine industry. We rinse with wine.
Yeah, with premium Tasmanian.
Friends of mine are always like, they look at me with horror. It's just using wine to rinse out other wine. But you got to get the taste in the glass.
So Tassie Riesling, for those playing at home, is famous for ridiculous, searing, teeth-shattering acidity, basically.
Yeah.
That's sort of the shtick in Tassie. So, when you're talking like dry Rieslings from Tassie, they call them Tassie dry, which is like they have a little bit of residual sugar usually, just to take the edge off that super nervy acidity.
Yeah.
But Dredge goes an extra step further. So this spends like a portion of this spends 9 months in like old oak barrels, just to let it soften out and spend a little bit of the time on lees to sort of build a little bit of texture around that sort of rapier-like acid.
Yeah.
Which is cool. So first look at 22s.
And in terms of the fruit, he makes these single vineyard wines, which he often calls north, south, or east, if they're coming from, the Tamar or Huon or the Coal River, Derwent Valley sort of area. Then he's got his Tasmania wines, which the idea is he can just blend year on year based on what fruit's available. So this is a blend of fruit from Tamar and kind of Coal River, I believe.
No, Derwent.
Just Derwent.
So no, it's
Coal River and Derwent.
Yeah.
Sorry, in 22, that's right. So just sort of either side of Hobart there.
Yeah. Dude, that is a ripper. So he smashed this 22 Riesling. This is, I love this style of Riesling with a little bit of barrel work behind it.
Yeah.
Because it gives you like almost like a creaminess or cheesiness to it. It's got a little bit of phenolic grip as well. So it's like a little bit like kind of crunchy and minerally.
It's all about structure and mouthfeel, this wine.
Yeah.
If you compare this to, say, Clare, Eden Valley Riesling, Great Southern Riesling, these sort of regions which have this really abundant tropical lemon lime sort of characters on the nose. This doesn't have that.
No.
This is it's more restrained, more minerally, more subtle. There's a taukiness to it, a kind of little faint grippiness to it.
Amazing texture.
All that texture.
And in terms of like that fruit spectrum, instead of being like your lemon limey sort of thing, it's more green apple, maybe a little bit more sort of orchard fruit, like it's a little bit more orangey and that sort of
grapefruit.
Yeah.
Just the acidity. Yeah. So it'll live forever. This is a great modern Aussie Riesling. This wine. It's fantastic.
Dude, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Yum. Shotgun
yum. Don't just. I'm not just. I'm not just going to take the pet nat home. Firstly, it's going to end up all over the floor of my car by the time I get it, because this isn't going to do much good. And we'll get to the rest.
All right, we'll split them up at the end.
I'll take the Chardonnay. How about that?
Damn. Didn't think that far ahead. But yes, Chardonnay. So this wine's developed a bit of a cult following, hey? So it's one of the lowest production wines that Dredge makes. So compared to something like the Pinot, he's got way less of it. It usually sells out on release. We thought we were sold out. So we sold this in like a blink of an eye.
Well, the only reason we have some of this, so we're doing a big event, a bit of a spruik here for our 10th birthday party, Wine Unleashed. Tickets available online now.
Oh, nice plug, Tom.
Yep, there you go. I've got my wristband on. I've got our new wristbands. So I thought, I want to give myself early access. Anyway, chatting to Dredge about what we're going to pour. He said, bugger it, let's do everything out of Magnum, right? So we got magnums of all the wines up here. So if you do come to Wine Unleashed, you'll see Pete with some enormous bottles and he's the enormous man pouring those wines. And then I said, you still have some Chardonnay? And he goes, yeah, I've got some Chardonnay. I'm like, fucking great. We'll grab some more.
Okay. So not much mucking around with this Shardy. Like a little bit of whole bunch in the ferment, but basically it's just pretty straight up and down. Old oak, 9 months. Just looking for really wicked attack in the fruit profile. So it's really fresh. It's got a nice kind of like green olivey kind of tinge to it. So that's sort of, that green olive brine that gives you that slight saltiness. really long, really focused. It's sort of a world away from like your super oaked, really flashy styles of cool
100%.
climate Chardonnay. You know, it's more.
It really looks, to be honest, like stylistically not dissimilar from the Riesling.
I was going to say that there's a lot in common with
they're
these.
made the same way.
Yeah,
there's 9 months in barrel on lees.
Yep.
Similar vineyard source, just the varietal kind of accents, but it's similar. It's all about acidity and this tension and energy in the wine.
Ooh.
So I love that style personally, and it does open up in the glass too.
Yeah.
It's a sort of Chardonnay you sit with at dinner and you first have a look at it and it just kind of refreshes the palate, and then you don't really think about it, and then it just starts to kind of grow and evolve.
Yeah. It's a sort of wine where, like, I'd love to see this in another 5 years because you know it's just going to unwind in the bottle, sort of loosen up a little bit. But at the same time, I love that kind of nervy energy that it's got at the moment, and refreshing Tassie Chardonnay. That's like, you know, you can just guzzle.
Yeah, it's very much in that. I hate to say it. I hate to say it. Chablis. No, I know it's not Chablis. I'm trying to give the viewers at home, Wade, an indication of the style.
Yes,
right.
Sure, Tom. Why don't you say it's just a very elegant, pared back, linear, cool climate Chardonnay?
That crackling, mouth-watering acidity.
Yeah, but heaps of Chablis is shit now because it's too hot over there, and they don't actually look like that. They're big and fat and flabby.
So what you're saying is we should contact the Chablis Association and ask them to start describing their wines as being a Derwent Valley style.
Yes, this is a very Tasmanian.
I hate to say it, but it's very Dr. Edge.
For sure. But legit, lots of Chablis is big and blousy, despite what people tell you, especially now in these warmer vintages. And so if you're looking for fresh, crunchy, tight, minerally Chardonnay, buy this.
Yeah. Cool. All right, so this is a funny story, this wine. I only just realized the story. This is the 2023 Dr. Edge Tyrannosaurus Dredge Pinot Meunier. So apparently one of Dredge's assistants in the winery there was giving him a bit of shit for being a dinosaur of the industry, as Wade said, the oldest young winemaker in Australian wine. And so he took it personally and said, "Well, bugger it, I'll make a young, cool, hip wine then. If you're going to call me a dinosaur." So we call it the Tyrannosaurus Dredge. And it's a Pinot Meunier that's meant to be just a really light, bright, bouncy sort of red.
Yeah.
He's that sort of character. I got a funny story about Pete. So we during COVID, we were doing these Insta Live videos, right? Interviews with winemakers. And, you know, people at home, you would buy the packs and taste along with us and we'd have a chat. And it was always pretty ad lib because I would just have my phone and just kind of go live, and then the winemaker would just pop up, and I didn't know what
that's how Go Lives work, Tom.
Okay, thanks. Scoop. Anyway, I went live with Dredgy, and I pressed the button. I'm waiting for him to accept, and all of a sudden he pops up, and he's just laying seductively in his bed, like under the covers with his pajamas on.
Famous for being nude. Yeah. He's maybe a couple of days a year during vintage that he wears clothes, but most of the time he's completely naked making all of these wines, from what I can understand.
I'd say I found it, confronting and disruptive, but if anything, it put me at ease.
I mean, to your point on like him being the Tyrannosaurus, the dinosaur of his little collective there. So he's got the hilarious name is the place of changing grapes into wine. Is his little wine collective that he started down there, and he's got some like a really awesome crew. So there's like small island wines. I'm gonna forget all of these now, aren't I? So Alice,
the Aunt Alice ones.
Aunt Alice, she's in there. There's like half a dozen. So some really cool booze coming out.
He's the old man.
Yeah, and he's the old grumpy grandpa.
Trying to keep up with the hip cool kids who are making a lot of these light reds. And I personally absolutely love this style of red wine because it's what I want to drink at home. Like I've got a cupboard full of like Shiraz and Cabernet and even like heavier Grenache and other things, even heavier Pinots. I'm just not touching. All I want is this like it's getting warm, these light, fresh, bright styles of red wine. You chuck it in the fridge for 20 minutes.
Dude,
perfect.
This is all like Freddo frogs. Like, those red frogs?
Reddo?
Yeah. Reddo? God.
Yeah, it's Freddo. No, not Freddo.
No.
Red frogs.
Red frogs.
Freddo is not red.
No.
No, it's chocolate.
Chocolate, yeah. So no,
this is not.
No, this is yes, I know. This is red frogs, kind of like Turkish delight.
Yeah.
It's like it's super floral. Like if you didn't say anything, I would have thought maybe he'd like chuck some Gewürzskins or something in there because of like how crazy floral it is and aromatic. And really like jumps out of the glass.
Well, actually, he said in his notes, he said there's a little bit of Pinot Noir that goes into this as well for just a little bit of extra raw, he says.
Cool. It is bloody delicious though.
Isn't it? It's just frisky and light. I've got to say, actually, because I haven't tried this in a couple months, it's filled out a touch, which I think is perfect. Like it was so zingy and zippy when we first released it. You can imagine being a 2023 red. It hadn't been long into bottle.
There's a little sneaky like hint of sort of gaminess creeping in the back as well. Like so it is getting a little bit more savory, a little bit more earthy on the finish instead of just being like this super bright like juvie thing. So this is basically like this is pretty much these two with a splash of that, which is pretty cool. But you can really see that in this wine, I reckon.
Yeah.
You know?
Beautiful, light, ethereal, watercolors style of red wine.
Felt that. Chuck a chill on it. Grill it.
Unreal. All right, and then the wine that Pete is best known for, the variety is Pinot Noir. That's his baby, aside from all his other babies.
So this is the OG Dr. Edge wine. So the 15, I think 15, it was just Pinot. It was just Pinot for a couple of years until there was a Riesling and a Chardonnay and then sub-regional versions.
Dr. Edge, Pinot Noir. And this is the Tasmania, again, same as the Riesling, the Chardonnays he makes in good years when he can, north, south, east, definitely not west, Pinots. And this is the blend, but the blend is often the best of the wines. So
real signature of Dredge's Pinot style is he just loves a little bit of funk in his Pinot. So there's a little bit of like struck match reduction, like a little bit savoury, little bit gamey, but then
wrapped around really bright fruit.
Exactly. So it's like it's all in this very light, delicate kind of frame.
Usually in Pinot, when you see those kind of earthy, funky, whole bunchy characters, the wines are often bigger as well.
Yeah.
It's like they've just gone for it, more extraction, more skin, more oak, more everything, and you get this big kind of complex, funky thing. Whereas this isn't like that at all. It's really delicate and pink, red fruited. But then the difference to this, because that is that similar ilk, but then this just has all this extra complexity and savouriness and the aromatic kind of complexity.
Yeah.
Which is what makes it a special wine.
You know, it's fascinating. Is that last night maybe Dredge picked up the Australian Pinot whatever trophy for like, for
the Meadowbank.
Best Pinot in the universe made by someone in Australia. So for the Meadowbank one. So like half the fruit or roughly comes off that Meadowbank block. But this is a completely different style to the Meadowbank Pinot, right? Like so the Meadowbank one, it's a little bit richer, a little bit fuller bodied. It's more kind of like primary instead of like building in all that extra sort of savouriness and funk in the background. It's more just like ding, here's Tassie Pinot, which he nails. So he can do all those things. But this is like kind of the sexy smoking a cigarette version of Tassie Pinot, you know? You know that?
Yeah, well,
just hanging out.
If you tell me, I don't know, I don't smoke, but no, I mean, Dredge's definitely on the sexier side of Tassie winemakers.
For sure.
I'm looking at you, Ricky Evans. No, very, very cool. And I think with this wine, if you do love those fuller, more powerful styles of Pinot, I don't think this is your jam.
No.
It's not. And there's no point pretending it is. It's a light, perfumed, pretty style, but then under the covers. Sorry, I'm still thinking back. I'm still thinking back to those visions of Pete in his pajamas in bed. But anyway, I'll take that to my grave. Under the covers, there's a lot more going on here, and there's detail and layers. Yeah. And I think that's a great note to finish on because that is what Peter Dredge's winemaking is all about. Like he's masquerading as it's being all fun and innovative and a bit lo-fi and natty and whatever, but underneath it is a bloke that's made a shitload of wine over several decades, who knows what he's doing, who has access to incredible vineyards, and just doesn't miss. The wines are fantastic. So, highly, highly recommend. We actually, at this event, Wine Unleashed in a couple of weeks, Pete's pouring these 5 wines.
Yeah. He's going to get mobbed.
Yeah, I think he'll be popular.
Yeah, he's going to get nailed.
All Magnum too. So come along and look, just can't recommend these wines highly enough. If you see them on our site or a wine list somewhere, grab them, support Dredge. He's a terrific guy and making some fantastic wines and doing it very much on his own as well. So
100%.
Yeah. Awesome.
Love these booze. Love Dr. Edge. Love you guys. Have a good one.
Cheers, guys.